Let's move on to see the Presocratic's position on epistemology. That is, on the problem of knowledge and skepticism. Do we really know anything? If we do, what could be the source or basis of knowledge? One position is skepticism. We never really know anything. One is empiricism, that our knowledge comes from observation and experience. And the final position, rationalism, that we do have knowledge, and what yields knowledge is ultimately at the basis reason. So let's take a look at where we can map our Presocratics, and we're going to be doing a little bit of hand waving. By that, when people start waving their hands and trying to explain things, it means that they don't really have a very definite way of proving things, and they want you to kind of get the idea and go along with them. And it's going to be true here, but we can kind of map them based on their views of what the implications are. First, let's take a look at empiricism. Base, that is knowledge, the source of knowledge. We have knowledge, and a basis is in observation or experience. Well, the Milesians, Thales and Anaximander and Anaximenes seem to be there. If you notice, I have these guys in light gray as opposed to black. The reason I put it there is unless I really have a definite reason for thinking that this is their view, that this is a view that they stated on epistemology, I'm going to just say tentatively I'm putting them there, subject to verification and change. So you get an idea of where they belong, even though they really didn't take positions, or I shouldn't say they didn't take positions, we don't know what positions they took on the issue of knowledge and skepticism or whether they did it. On rationalism, Pythagoras, Mr. Mathematics, the reason is what yields knowledge. What kind of knowledge? You have knowledge in mathematics, not much about what's going on around you. Xenophanes, well, not really sure if he can reason, or that's why I have that gray arrow where he certainly is skeptical, not in the words, not meaning skepticism, but meaning he has his doubts about whether the views of Homer and Hesiod about the gods are plausible. In fact, he argues pretty strongly they are implausible. And that's why I threw him in this category. That might be totally unfair, but just something to think about. Heraclitus. Well, it looks like to some sense observation is important, right? Because how did he decide that things are always changing? By observing things changing. But in a certain sense, he really generated some skepticism. What did he generate skepticism? A lot of what we think we know about the external world is false. That was his point. It's fleeting. So whether he's an empiricist or part empiricist and part skeptic, that is, he's an empiricist that you can learn by observation about things changing, but he's a skeptic that can ever know anything about a material object because it's always changing. If we look at Parmenides, he's the one guy we're pretty sure sits in a rationalist camp, even though he really did not state anything directly about knowledge, but he said what you could think and what you could speak about. So based on that, I think it's fair to say that he's a rationalist. He reasoned his way. It wasn't by observation. In fact, one of the consequences of his view, was kind of a skeptical view. That is, what you observe, not real. It is not at all real. It can't be real. And of course, Zeno, I kind of tags along with Parmenides. Democritus seems to be an empiricist, seems to be looking around at science, making observations, and comes up with a scientific theory about how to explain change. And Anaxagoras seems to be in that same position. A little bit more tentative about Anaxagoras. And now finally, the one guy that we have, or the one group of guys that we have, the sophists, Protagoras being the representative of them. People like to throw sophists into the position of being skeptics. I usually, and that's why I have the arrow, I usually like to say, wait, these guys are empiricists. They just have a very strange view of what truth is. And if we have time during the semester and we go through and we read the Meno, you'll understand quite a bit more about why I'm saying this about the Sophists and about Protagoras. So I think that's where the Presocratic stand on three very basic issues in metaphysics and epistemology. And this, you should be able to figure out where they go and why they go in these boxes. And this should help you understand who these guys are and what their positions are. And now that we're through with this, we're going to be turning very shortly to the views of Socrates and Plato.